Welcome everyone. My name is Matt Valancourt and with me today is Vance Kozik from Dlink Systems. We're here today in Landisville, Pennsylvania at Sardinia Dental Group to give you guys a demonstration of a camera installation.
And what we're going to cover is walking the customer as if you're walking the customer through a site survey in the building, figuring out what their surveillance needs are, figuring out the placement of the cameras, which model cameras to use, also the physical installation, the aiming of the lens, and finally how the cameras are viewed and recorded and played back.
And after we're done, we're going to have a live Q&A session as well. So if you have any additional questions of things that we may or may not have covered during the actual video, please feel free to ask at that point in time. Our main goal here is to just kind of break down some of the walls and some of the reservations that you may have in getting into selling and installation of IP surveillance systems, and more importantly, profiting from them. I wanted to note that before you get started on actually walking the building and doing your site survey, ask your customer if they have a floor plan of the location that you're going to be walking. It's very handy to have that while you go on your walk throughout the building so that you can either mark up on paper or on a tablet exactly where you intend to put cameras, why you're looking to put cameras there, and what kinds of cameras you're deciding on putting there. It's also going to help you later on when you're planning how you're going to run your cables, because you'll have insight into the structure and the walls of the building so you can better plan your time in running your cables as well. I'm going to start off by going through and I'm going to be showing you basically what the customer and I decided upon and what the customer voiced as some of their concerns when we were doing our walk throughout the building. The site survey is one of the most important things that you can do, because this is really going to give you all the input of what the customer's concerns are and what the customer's goals are for installing the cameras. So for camera number one, the customer's concern was our main entryway. And you can see here, this is our main entryway from the inside. And the customer was concerned with obviously people coming and going on all of the doors, so that in the event of some form of a break-in or a theft, he would have coverage of who was coming or going at the point in time in question. So our first camera is actually going to be installed right up here on the entryway. And where we chose to put this, and I'll give you a quick view of how it's going to look once installed. The reason we chose to put the camera there is so that when customers are or persons of interest are leaving the building, you have great footage of them exiting the building with them out expecting that they're actually on camera, as opposed to putting it in a corner like this, where you would have a view like this, where customers would actually see the camera as they're coming in. We want it to be a little more discreet with our camera placement so that customers don't feel like they're being imposed upon as they're coming and going throughout the building. So our next place that our customer had some concerns with and that they wanted to make sure was monitored is their business office area, which is where we currently are. So we've come in from our front entryway and you can turn the corner and you can see the area where the customers will be serviced. And obviously this is going to be an area of concern for a lot of customers because there's money exchanging hands, there's potential for people coming in and doing some not nice things. So you want to make sure that they're monitored so that you can cover all of your bases. So we actually have two low profile discrete cameras that we're going to put in this particular area. And the reason why we're going to have two mounted in here is so that we can cover from multiple angles. A lot of times in rooms that are going to be of importance for recording purposes, you're going to want to have more than one camera because as always, you're not going to be able to cover the space that's directly underneath or surrounding the camera. So the first position that we've chosen is this position here, and you can see our cable is waiting for installation of the camera. And this camera is going to show you the angle of the entryway and the main window where customers are going to be interacting. Our second camera is going to go up in this corner right over here. And this camera is more or less going to be covering the general area. So we have a focused camera over there that's going to be covering transactions and customers and interactions. And then we have a general monitoring camera, which is going to be here. And this camera is actually going to cover this entire area so that we can see a secondary view of things that are going on. So our next camera and our next area that our customers had concerns with, first off, we have 3 cameras that we're setting up in what is a main T hallway here, which leads back into the general dental area where patients are seen in the dental offices. This main hallway that we have here behind me is coming in from where we just were, where the customers would interact with the cashiers and the receptionist team. And we just wanted to have something very low profile, non-intrusive to put in this area for general monitoring of this hallway. So we're going to be mounting the camera right here in the corner. You can see again we already have our cable there sitting and waiting for our installation. And we're going to be monitoring this entire hallway directly off of that camera. So any customers or potential do-no-gooders that might be in the area coming or going down this hallway, we're going to have great footage capturing them. All right, our next camera that we were working on installing is actually going to be a 2-camera setup and the monitoring of this very long hallway that we have here. Now these are 2 exit points of the building. And there's another hallway here which goes back into the dental rooms, into the patient rooms. There's no exits back there that we need to be concerned about. So this area is going to be an important choke point where people are always going to be coming and going. So our next camera that we've chosen to put in, we're actually going to be placing right here. And as you can see, placement of the camera in relation to the door lends you to believe that we're not actually covering this door with this particular camera, not in a traditional sense. This camera is actually going to be monitoring all the way down the hallway. And as we did in our initial, as we did in our front entryway there, we have the camera mounted so that as someone would be leaving the area, they're going to be captured on film as they exit the building. Our other concern and the other reason why we were setting these up, not only to cover this entire hallway, was also the lighting from this pane on this door. Vance is going to talk a little more about that when we actually get into the installation process with the cameras, but there's a very good reason to be concerned about lighting and make sure you're paying attention to it, because you may need to install different cameras depending on what